we've been working on some economic and demographic data across the world, and we want to leverage that to be able to predict things that would happen. What you're seeing here is the number of people who are running out of poverty, and the algorithm can get to a level of telling you how many are coming out of poverty per second. And we are getting actually more people coming out of poverty than any other period in time. But still, those red ones, they try to get out of poverty and maybe they drop back to poverty. Maybe someone is sick in their household and then they get back into serious poverty. Of 1 billion people who are going to move from the low to middle class, 87% are coming from Asia. And this is important for us to understand that we could do the same thing Asia has done to move people, more people out of poverty. This is for the first time this year, we have more people in the middle class than in the low income. If we can go to the world, yeah. And the red countries, the one which are red, are the countries that would not achieve their SDGs by 2030, meaning that the number of poor people would increase by 2030. Nigeria is actually the worst, and I say this, and because I said that before, and they were angry with me, I went to Nigeria and showed, and they agreed that it is true, and they need some policy interventions. If you could go to Nigeria and see, this is 2019. If you move to 2030, then 93 now we have million people. If you move to 2030, you see there'll be 113 million people, poor people. For the first time last year, Nigeria passed India as the country with the highest rate of poor people, or people dropping into poverty. India has come out of it. And if we can come back and see how South Africa is performing, come back to 2019 and 2019, yeah, 2020. That is December 2019. Where June. So South Africa has 13 million people now, and the escape rate, I can't see it from here. Someone can, escape rate is so like 8 people are dropping into poverty per minute or per second? Per hour. So if you come to 2030, you find almost the same number. If I had time, I would have shown you that we can go into subnational level to the smallest level where poverty is increasing and why it is increasing and what policies that we need to put in place to change that. So if you can go back to the whole of Africa, the whole world, yeah? So if you see in the entire Americas, it's only Venezuela, and we understand why Venezuela is in that trouble. So the algorithm here tells you a lot of things, so you can play with it. It's online, World Poverty Clock. You can see if you want to go into granular data and see. Actually, the entire globe is only Africa that we are having problems, and this is because of policies. If we changed some policies, we could begin to change poverty. If we can find a way of getting rid of leaders who stay too long, we can do something. So let's move to our blockchain talk for today. Yeah, this was what I'm supposed to talk about. And I think yesterday we talked about this a lot. I don't have to go into this in detail. First industrial revolution, we were hunting. Second, we were not there, still in the bushes. The third, we did some few things to change Africa in terms of efficiencies. We have some solutions. We played some role. But in the fourth industrial revolution, we cannot afford to play. This is where we are at the moment. A lot was said yesterday. And all I can say is that the meetings we had, especially in Rwanda with all African leaders, was that only 6 countries that are prepared towards exploiting the opportunities in the fourth industrial revolution. We still have many African countries shutting down the internet when they don't want to hear bad news. Ethiopia just shut the internet for 2 weeks. Zimbabwe shut the internet. I'm sorry if you're from those countries. We must say it so that you go tell the governments that the internet means us getting into the fourth industrial revolution. Cameroon shut the whole region. So there are so many, and there are others we don't even know they shut it down. They just say the cable broke and just. So we need, actually on a very serious note, if we miss this revolution, we would never be there anymore. This is what I think is happening. We have had 3 waves, according to me. I don't know. We had the internet wave, which we didn't understand properly at the beginning. Actually, it's only Americans who understood it and exploited it. That's how you see Google, Yahoo's, and those large companies that were created. And these waves reflect, those of you who understand the Rogers diffusion of innovation. It goes from a few people, then to laggards. So we've gone through internet, even though we're still around it. Mobility came, and again, Americans understood it better. That's how you saw Facebook, Twitter. Then the Chinese got angry and shut them down and created Alibaba, WeChat. We didn't create anything there. And as we move into blockchain, you're beginning to see Ubers and other companies coming. But nobody understands precisely who is going to, which are the unicorns that you would see emerging from the blockchain space. Yesterday, we touched a lot on the customer experience. What blockchain is going to do actually is going to empower us such that we can permission those who can take our data, which has been taken advantage of by all these others. And that's the major difference with the blockchain. If we fully understand that, we could also come up with some sort of unicorn from Africa. So let me define this. This is as per Tapscott. I think most people have read his book. He defined blockchain as an incorruptible digital. But myself, I define it as an attempt to automate trust. And I will explain why I say that. I can see Ken waving his head that it is not, it could be corruptible. But let me explain this. This is the current state of affairs, where we have the clearing houses. If you want anything from government, there is somebody who is clearing it and stuff. So what I've done here, I've developed our electoral commission in Kenya, which runs the elections. And here, last time we had election is 2017, and the requirement for someone to run for governor, you had to have a university degree, you have to have clearance from the Revenue Authority, you have to get clearance from the criminal records. But of course, the politicians bribed the gatekeepers here, and the people got certificates from universities, and they got clearance from the Revenue Authority. And after, actually 3-5 of them, after they won, someone asked, who was your classmate at the university? They forgot completely. They couldn't remember who it was. But we have several cases in court now because people bribed their way through. 2022, when we have elections, this is what we would have. And we have actually started working on it, is that every university would have digitized their records, the Revenue Authority will digitize the criminal records, the criminal officers will digitize. Several agencies I will show you later on, such that when you come to register to run for governor, you would give the agency the permission. These permissions is very key. These are the principles that run blockchain. You would permission them, and once you permission, actually you would have had a smart contract that you can't retract and say, I didn't do it. And of course, in advance, there will be consensus on how the electoral agency would run this. And that means once you permission them, the ledger at the university will be shared by the Electoral Commission, by the Revenue Authority. And in a split second, you'll be told that you are not going to run. And this would give us what I said, the automation of honesty. I mean, it's very difficult to do it without, there are several things that happen. But these 4 areas, permission, consensus, smart contract, ledger, are very key. And that's why we say that blockchain would enable us to take control of our data. And these are some of the use areas that you're going to see. For example, you're going to see new parametric insurance abrogation, complex and stuff here, medical records. One of the areas that we applied was land registry, and the lawyers in Kenya took us to court and stopped it because that's where bread and butter comes from, because they bill the clients for transfer of property. And we try to tell them, you can come up with your smart contract. So such resistance is there. There is space for them to still make money, but we still are in court. These are several resistances that you are going to see. Then collaborations, you are going to see more. I will just go very quickly. This is very, very key here. We have a lot of medicines manufactured in places we don't know. We need to track and trace from source to the consumer. And we're beginning to see many applications trying to do that. One of the fastest, or some of the fastest growing companies are the ones that have leveraged on blockchain to create supply chains. If you go online, you can find small companies like Twigger Foods, like victory fish. It is not just blockchain, it works with AI, it works with IoT to produce those new companies that are growing. But the other point I wanted to say was that the sharing of APIs, AI analytics also does help. Security and privacy, we try to put all that into this. You can see virtually every sector, there is something that can be done with blockchain. There is actually actual use cases in Kenya, several companies that have started using this. Now, one of the things that we do, and we've been doing for the past 10 years, is that the government goes ahead of industry. The reason why we succeeded with dual regulation of M-Pesa was because the government went ahead and created an enabling environment to do that. Because of these emerging technologies, blockchain, AI, Kenya has gone through a phase of a trusted identity. Now we have finished with it. We are we're doing the building blocks of a trusted identity, meaning that you could come to Kenya and register, and if you don't have this ID, if you don't have this ID, it is not just one ID. It links to every other thing. So it's very easy to validate whether I don't pay to my banks, and you would have to permission that. If I come for credit, you can look at the banking records from the banks, from the revenue, from births, whether you're still alive, to police and other things. This actually became necessary because I was there from the beginning of M-Pesa, and the development of crime around M-Pesa. What some people used to do, they would go to their mother, pick the phone, and pretend they are their mother, and they will get money because we have several platforms that give money through. Do you have tellers and branches here? Yeah. They would borrow from Tala, from branch, from Fuliza, from all the places, and nobody knows that has happened. And then they return the phone to their mother. So when the mother is being asked, she says, "What are you talking about?" They don't know. But with this trusted identity, Tala would know you borrowed from branch because they would ask you to permission them to know whether you have the capability of actually repaying that. And they can check from other sources to know whether you have a criminal record and whether you are the person actually seeking for the money. So this was not just that we wanted it, but it's one of the infrastructure that is key to enabling a digital economy. It cannot work without a trusted identity, which you can use to validate the person who we are dealing with online. So this infrastructure is about to be finished. Then I wanted to show you, this is actually an adaptive learning system, school, which started, yesterday I said education used to be for the rich, then public education came, then now people have discovered public education also used to be discriminatory because it was very difficult for people to know that their children are autistic or accept, because people say, no, my son is good, it's okay, it's just that. But you find that they are autistic or have a ADHD or a dyslexia. This small school can actually show you, can tell you precisely that these kids need special attention. And that's why we are rooting for a different system in Kenya. Education system in Kenya is under reform to what they call competence-based, so that you are actually able to identify that, which has not been very common in Africa. So Twiga, I mentioned about it, Victory Fish. This has helped farmers, by the way. It used to be that when fishermen had brought fish, the middlemen would claim that the fish had rotten because it was on the sun. But because of IoT, they can track the temperature throughout, and they now actually get paid. That's how much it has helped. Very simple thing, but it has helped. And that's why we were saying that we have IoT via USSD, IoTs, and there are several solutions around IoT. Then Uber also has used, for their drivers, they actually tell them, because the drivers used to be hired by individual people to drive their vehicles, now they tell them that if you behave nicely, we would give you up to $20,000 without collateral to get your own vehicle. So most of the Uber vehicles you see in Nairobi are owned by those drivers who would never have owned a vehicle in their life, because they are leveraging on AI, blockchain, IoT. They know everything that goes through. They do a credit score, and if you're 4.6 out of 5, you get that. And then in addition to that, they are allowed to take another $3,000 if they want to pay fees for their children. And then it's deducted over time. It has actually changed a lot for the people who are drivers in that. This is a predictive, they do predictions around weather, but we still need to work on people to believe that someone can predict weather, because people who are mostly Christians, they say only God can tell us when the rains would come. And just last month, IBM had told us that the rains would come on May 24th. And farmers ignored that and went with historical data that the rains come in April and they planted. Even with that information, their maize dried. So the rains came on the 24th. So we have a lot of work to do with respect to telling our people that God has given us capability to predict. Yeah. So these are the problems that we have: resistance to change, capacity building, very important, enabling infrastructure. We are now lobbying everybody. I also happen to sit in the board of one of the largest telco company, that we look for a new model for broadband, that it becomes free to every Kenyan. One of the things I am happy about is when we built the undersea cable, we subsidized the institutions of higher learning, the universities, and we see the impact out of that. So the legal framework, I chair the task force that is looking at the roadmap of artificial intelligence and blockchain. What we have done is we have created legal sandboxes with every regulator and said, when you don't understand something, we put it under this framework and work together. If it doesn't work, then we stop. It wasn't like that before. Like that before, we were lucky that I was from the university and the governor of central bank was from the university. And we agreed that let's try it. If it fails, we go back to teach. And that was the insurance. Actually, that was the insurance that if we are fired, we had a fallback. So most senior civil servants should be academics who have a fallback to go. So we have legal sandboxes. I can direct you to some of them. You look at them. And actually, when you see China, it leveraged on the numbers to create the solutions they did. I don't know what we will do to create one economic bloc and begin to take advantage of the numbers, that something created in South Africa can scale across to Nigeria without all other funny legal hindrances that we have, funny borders which don't exist. And the regulatory challenges will still be there. We've been talking about the cryptocurrency in Kenya. The governor was opposed to it, but he's come to terms with it, and especially with Libra. What we have created is a national payment gateway and also a blockchain for the banking sector. So if Libra comes, they would have to permission the banking sector to view their space or them viewing our space, meaning that they will not just come and do things in the economy and walk away. And very controversial, but I don't know what would happen.